What's going on, guys? Zedd here, bringing you another Soulcalibur 6 video. In today's video, I'm going to be going over at least one tip, or rather, one tip for each character. It's not the best tip, it's not the worst tip, it's just a tip. I thought about this for each character. I did come up with multiple for each, but I'm going to try to break it up into different videos, so do expect more of these in the future. I'm not going to give you a cadence because I don't know. And I hope you learned something from these. If you happen to know everything I'm going to tell you in this video today, then congrats to you. You are awesome at your lab work, and you're very matchup knowledgeable. But if you did learn something in this video, let me know what you really enjoyed and what stuck out to you the most. And if you have any comments about anything I say, also let me know and we can always discuss it down below. I am going to do this sort of a rapid fire way, so it's going to be very quick and to the point. I'm not going to stick on any point or any tip too long. We are going to go alphabetical, so it's going to start with 2B, then Amy, and then we're going to end with Yoshimitsu and Zasselmel. And so with that said, let's just get right on into it. I hope you guys enjoy. So my first tip regarding 2B is going to be about her 22KK series. It is the low-high into the punch option. The default punch is of course punishable, which is this guy here. And then the other option that she has is this guy here, which is the held charged version, which is not steppable. However, the tip I have for you today is punish this one on block when you see it. It is -12. But some characters can actually backstep that charged version. And what you can do is you can look not for a delay, but rather look for blue sparks. It is tricky, it's not easy, but you know, it is doable if there's a delay. So check and see if your character can do it. And that is a super useful way to sort of force a whiff from the 2B on a move that a lot of 2Bs do like to use quite a bit. For Amy, my tip for you is be aware that her 666 BA or BB are both duckable. So that move would look like this. This is a move you'll see sometimes as a combo ender, but if an Amy ever thinks that they can get away with this, just show them that that is not the case and duck that A attack and you get a free punish of any kind you want. I see a lot of players not duck this every single time, so please duck this and you will blow Amy up for ever even trying to use that move. My tip for Astroth is be aware of the fact that whenever you break a command throw from Astroth, yes, he is +6, but the increased pushback and the reduced frame advantage does mean that some characters, not all, can now backstep after breaking a grab from Astroth, and he does not get any further pressure, and the 6-6 B move that he will do afterwards does not reach, therefore it does not lethal hit. I just have it paused here because it's all set and ready to go. So that would look something like this. Oh. Fail. There we go. So you just backstep like that, and you will avoid the 6-6B altogether. Again, not every character can do this. Take a look and see for yourself. My tip regarding Aswell is about his Reversal Edge K. It's a very unique defensive option he has in Reversal Edge. It essentially allows him to phase through any single hit attacks in Reversal Edge, but be aware that it loses to almost all, if not all, multi-hit attacks in the game, even if they are a B move, which normally K attacks would beat, of course, but in Aswell's case, this is not true. So if I do a single move, like so, if I do B, oh, totally whiffs, right? But if I do a multi-hit move, right? Boom, it'll hit him no matter what. And this is consistent, again, with most, if not all, multi-hit Reversal Edge attacks. My tip for you regarding Cassandra has to do with her 6-6 BB or BA series. 6-6 BB looks like this. It is a jailing safe on block string, and 6-6 BA is a non-jailing mid-high string. So what that means is if 6-6 BB happens and we are holding crouch, it doesn't matter, we don't get punished. But if 6-6 BA comes out and we're holding crouch, we completely duck it. Now there are follow-ups here as well, right? You have the B and the K. There are some things you can do with any character to just totally beat out both options if you don't want to GI. So if you ever see 6-6B come out, just hold down crouch and you should avoid the 6-6 BA and block the 6-6 B as well. So for example, right, if you wanted to beat out this, you could do like that into full combo as Yoshimitsu, for example. My tip for you regarding Cervantes is about his 2-2 AA string. It is a double low, but it is blockable on normal hit, which means if that first low hits you, you can most definitely block that second low, and the B attack is totally identifiable and reactable, so you should just step that on reaction. So this is the move I'm talking about here. So even if that first low hits you, you don't have to let that second one hit you. Just crouch block on a regular hit and you are good to go. And it is also minus 14 as well. So that's a pretty free punish if a Cervantes commits to this. For Geralt, the tip I have for you today is about his 1A series. So 1A is arguably a reactable low, so this is assuming it on block. So the follow-ups are the force push or bubble, and a B mid attack, or rather a vertical mid attack that does have a lethal hit if you have 2 bars of soul gauge. But if you block the first hit, you can actually mash step, avoid the B, and still punish the bubble as the bubble does jail. So that looks like this, right? So there's that move, and then this move. And so what I can do is after blocking the low, I can just mash step and avoid one and still punish the other. And so that looks like this. Okay. See how I'm able to just constantly mash sidestep for no problem, and you get your punish regardless. And so it's a good little tip. Just be aware that you may not get the punish on the raw 1A if you do that, but good to know nonetheless. So my tip for you today against Grow is a really tricky one, but can be super critical, at least in an offline or a parsec environment. Online, this is really tricky to do, but it is totally worth practicing in my opinion. And that is regarding his soul charge teleports. Well, what you can actually do if you are keen on your reactions and you are feeling up to it, is you can actually step crouch block to avoid all 3 of the primary teleport options. Just note that obviously this does not beat the raw teleports. This is if he's committing to the A, the B, or the K. And I will try to demonstrate that for you now, but I might accidentally mess that up. So you can see, oh, I didn't miss the crouch there. Let's start that again, sorry. Crouch, crouch, and then last one, step crouch. So you can see how sometimes the A can get a little mucky if he goes behind you, because it does flub your inputs a little bit. But hopefully you can see that to some degree, they are entirely step duckable. Okay? And so be aware of that. It is tricky, like I said, but definitely worth the practice if you have a hard time dealing with gross soul charge. My tip for you today regarding Hakumaru is quite simply his 22AA or AB series. Just know that they are both giable at the same sequence, so it is not a low-mid mix-up if you are astute and you see this move come out, which is 22A. And so the options he has are 22AA and 22AB. You can GI both of these attacks with the same timing. Alright, so be aware of that. It is not a string mix-up technically. Just be aware that he can 22A raw, of course, but still worth knowing in my opinion. My tip for you today with Hilda has to do with her charge A6 attack, which is punishable on block, but it does have an extension if she has red regalia, or red sword as I call it. When you block this move, it is minus 12, but she is minus 12 back turned, and the recovery on that move means that she is actually in a back throw 3B mix-up. Yes, she can block, but it's a back throw if you try to grab her. There are other things she can do, but this is obviously a higher risk, higher reward option instead of just getting your I-12, and so I'll demonstrate that for you here. So red, this is the move I'm talking about, right, where she lunges at you. Boom. And I have her set to guard. So you can see there I was a little slow. And again, I think it is actually hitbox and character specific, as well, as I found in testing that this was relatively inconsistent. But some characters can get the back throw, others can't, so it seemed. But if she wants to avoid the throw, then obviously she's going to duck into your 3B. So even if it's not a back throw, just be aware that it is a mix-up, it is your turn, and she is back turn, so she can't even easily soul charge. But it is also, if you don't want to do any of that, minus 12 as well. So keep in mind of this move. As a bonus tip regarding this second hit is actually GI-able, as I failed to GI it. Like so. And so if you have a horizontal auto GI, this is a really good option as well. My tip for you regarding Ivy isn't actually something that I can necessarily demonstrate without making a whole video on the implications of the matter, but my tip against Ivy is be aware that she does not have a 12 frame 2A attack, which is this somewhat generic input. Okay, now other characters don't have a 12 frame as well. It's just most people are sort of aware of the fact that like Siegfried isn't I-12, Nightmares isn't I-12, Astroth isn't I-12, but one that a lot of people don't talk about is Ivy's. It's not 12 frames. And so, with that, all of her up-close buttons are relatively punishable or unsafe and or a risk on her part. So, be aware that you can generate a lot more pressure against Ivy than you can other characters. For Calyx, my tip for you today is about his 2-2B plus K move. It's a relatively good move, actually, but it does have options and extensions as well, which, in my opinion, are very, very weak, and I'll try to show that for you. Now, first off, I want to say that he does have the ability to go into Monument or back parry auto-GIs, but I find those to be very low value, and so I'm not going to really talk about those in this example. But for whatever reason, some Calyx like to use 2-2B plus K, B plus K, which is the second option I have recorded. I'll show you in just a second. But 2-2B plus K is a very weird attack. It doesn't let you crouch, but it does let you unblock. Okay, so I'll show that for you now. I'll let go of block and I get hit. But I go to crouch, it lets me crouch. So this is important because not only can you get ready for the Monument or back parry auto-GIs, but you can completely avoid a world where he wants to go for 2-2B plus K, B plus K, which I think is the input. But it looks like this. So I'm holding 2, nothing happens. Or I'm holding 2, and he completely avoids me. My tip for you regarding Maxi has to do with his back lower stance, which is the stance in which his nunchucks will be behind his back with both hands. I'm going to use the most common transition into this, and that is, in my opinion, 4B delay. So that looks like this, okay, where he does the 4B, it goes behind his back, and then you have the quote-unquote mix-up. Now there are two ways you can deal with back lower stance if you know it's coming. The first is you can reverse ledge. This is a great option. Now, I picked Astroth because his Astroth, that's not a great option because his reverse ledge attack is super duper slow, and so it can be countered quite easily by Maxi. So say you don't have reverse ledge as your option. You can simply step to Maxi's left and then crouch block, and you will either avoid or block all options. And in the case of back lower KK, you will both block and avoid. And so that looks like this. Step, crouch block. Next option, step, crouch block. Third option, step, crouch block. And you can beat all three of his options, and that is essentially the easiest way to deal with back lower if you know where it is and where he can go into it. My tip regarding Mitsurugi for you is about his 1KB, which is a very offensive move to deal with in an online environment, and a lot of players around sort of the intermediate beginner levels have no idea how to deal with this move. And that move, of course, looks like this. This sweep, it does about 40 damage. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head. But the thing to note is it's actually punishable on hit. And that is, it is actually minus 14 on block, but more practically minus 12, just because of range and such. So if I try to I-14 here, you can see that I do tend to whiff. Okay. But if I go for my I-12, oop, we got him. So it is punishable on hit. Now, the other thing he can do, as you just briefly saw, is he can go into stance. Now, this does put a bit of a wrinkle in things. However, the fastest move he has from stance is 8 frames. That is the high poke. The transition is minus 6, which means that the fastest there, or the moves he can trade with are 14 frames. So if you have an I-12, that can almost entirely beat the stance. I say almost entirely because he does have an armor option out of the stance, but that is super, super, super risky. And so again, boom, punishable on hit, or boom, boom, punishable on hit. Again, there's a bit more to it on the stance one, but feel free to explore that for yourself. Really, really good to know that that move is punishable on hit. And then again, to reiterate, explore the stance option yourself, or else I'll be spending way too long. My tip for you regarding Nightmare is a lot like Ivy's in that it's nothing I can sit here and demonstrate without spending way too long getting into why it's super important. But please remember that Nightmare does not have a standing 12-frame punisher. His only 12-frame punish is against moves where you are recovering crouching, and that is his crouch throw. But because he doesn't have a punish on minus 12, multiple 3Bs in the game become safe, but many key moves on many characters become safe. So if you have a launcher that's minus 12, or you have a really, really key move that's minus 12, don't be afraid to throw it out. Nightmare legitimately cannot punish it. Therefore, it opens up so much more of your kit to challenge him with. My tip for you regarding Raphael is about his Soul Charge 1KB. So his 1K is a fantastic low sweep, but it does have an extension in Soul Charge. But kind of like the Cervantes tip where the second hit is blockable, this is also true. So if that hits you, you don't have to take that second hit. First hit hits, you just crouch block. My tip regarding Sung Mina is please stop respecting the 4-4A low move on Oki. This move was nerfed a long time ago at this point, and there's no reason why you should be getting hit by this on Oki unless the online connection is super bad, or you just haven't practiced it, or you don't know that it's not real anymore. So in the past, she used to be able to do a combo into an Oki situation, and the low mid was a mix because you couldn't block them both. You had to sort of commit or react, which was super hard. But ever since they nerfed the low, it is very unlikely that the Sung Mina will go for it. And so I'll demonstrate an example for you, but I promise it's not as fast as you think it is. It is incredibly slow. Now, even if you do block it, bear in mind that she is plus, because it is a plus on block low at tipper range. The thing is, Sung Mina doesn't really do much with those plus frames, but don't get hit by the low on Oki. Okay, so here's an example, right? Boom, boom, and the low comes out. You actually have time to stand block and then crouch. My tip regarding Satsuka has to do with her 1K hold, which is a low stomp attack, and this is on hit as well. So if she does 1K hold, bear in mind that 2A, a standard 12 frame 2A, will actually beat or dodge 2 of the 3 options that she has. Standard, in Soul Charge she does have the K parry, so you do have to keep that in mind when she's in Soul Charge. But if she's not in Soul Charge, 2A is a great option. The odds are in your favor, as it does beat 2 of the 3 options, and she cannot delay. Some Satsukas like to delay to try to mix you up, but if you 2A, she cannot delay at all. And if you're Xianghua or Geralt, you actually have the luxury of using your 10 frame bubble, or in Xianghua's case, your 10 frame crouch throw, to either beat all options if you're Geralt, or beat or dodge all options if you're Xianghua. So I'll demonstrate the 2A, and then I'll show you just quickly what it looks like with X's crouch throw as well, so you can get a gist of what I mean. So boom, 2A, I beat that one. Boom, 2A, I lose to that one. Boom, 2A, we trade. Okay? So that's what that looks like. So you beat or trade 2 of the 3 options, or you beat or clash, 2 of the 3 options, and you only get hit by 1. So it's not the worst play in the world if you don't want to eat the mix, or you don't want to reverse the ledge, etc., etc. But RE is still a good option as well. But again, crouch throw, boom, avoid, boom, grab, third. Okay? So if you're a Xianghua player, please crouch throw 1K hold on hit. The only way she can beat the crouch throw is if she delays. So again, Geralt technically has the perfect answer if you're willing to spend some bar. But 2A in general, really good option against Satsuka 1K hold. My tip regarding Siegfried has to do with his Dark Legacy 6A+B, or in other words, his bubble. His bubble is very similar to Nightmares in how it functions, the difference being that it does expel his powered up state, so it's not a very good option, and the chip damage it used to deal on block used to make it somewhat worth it, but now not so much. But a lot of Siegfried still use this all the time. I highly recommend that you get decent at using resist impact against the bubble, because not only does it restore your guard, but it gets rid of his Dark Legacy, he does no chip damage to you, and it gives you a level 3 GI. So that looks like this. Boom. For Sofie, the tip I'm going to tell you today is, this was in the patch notes, this has been a thing, but I feel like a lot of people still aren't doing it or don't really know about it. And that has to do with her Soul Charge Angel Step A+B, which is this attack right here. Please bear in mind that this is now RI-able on the 3rd hit. Now this is super duper worth the meter, because not only are you going to get rid of so much of their soul gauge, right? Let me put this normal so you can see what I mean. Right, boom, a full quarter. Not to mention that the move itself does, quite a lot of the bar as well, right? But you're restoring your guard, you're not taking guard pressure, and you're essentially turning the tide. And so for 25% cost of their move and half of your bar, you're getting rid of a grand total of essentially half of their soul charge for half of your bar, which is a great deal in a lot of situations. My tip for you today regarding Taki has to do with her 3B hold, which is this move into that stance, and where she has different options. Now, on block, with every character in the game, if you run forward under her by approximately 2 steps, so not that far, not only will you avoid every single option, but you will most likely be able to set up a punish, particularly if you have a lot of range. And just to prove that this is capable with even the biggest of characters, I've selected Astroth, so I'll show you what I mean. Boom, you run forward ever so slightly, right? The low whiffs, you know, about 2 steps, right? Boom, 1, 2, punish, 1, 2, punish, right? You can do this with every single character in the game. My tip for you regarding Talum has to do with one particular transition, and that is her full crouch 3BB. Looks like this. So this transition is quite interesting. It is GI-able if she slightly delays it, but what's interesting is the frames and how it works. So if she tries to transition into any of her stances, I haven't tested them all, most 12 frame 5Ks, quite simply this kick, right, or this kick, will actually beat out every single option, which is super weird. But, you know, not many moves will cover both Wind Fury, Wind Salt, and Wind Charmer. So it's a super niche application, right? So I'll show you. Boom, boom, 5K. Boom, boom, spin, 5K. Like that. So it's not much, but it's something. My tip against Tyra has to do with her Jolly Stance 3AB string, which is this guy here. What a lot of people don't realize or don't know is not only is the second hit punishable on if 3A normal hits, it's launch punishable. It is minus 20 or 22 approximately. Depends on the range. So that looks like this. If a Jolly Tyra hits you with 3A and does the B all willy-nilly without counter hit confirming, at which time it is a combo, boom. That was guaranteed. Alright? So this is huge. This is huge. Okay? Full combo. My tip regarding Voldo has to do with his stances. Now this is probably the one hiccup that a lot of players have, especially in sort of the beginner intermediate levels. But Voldo's stances are frankly not that great, especially if you're blocking the transitions into them or you know that they're coming. So one thing you can try to do, this is a little trickier now since he has a new move, I'll get to it, but one thing you can do is if his feet are facing you, so this is Mantis Crawl feet towards, you can step this no matter what, and the only move you're looking for is either A, which is this move, or 4A, which is a heck of a lot slower, but it's this move. Okay? Everything else is steppable. So step, step, step when it comes to Voldo's feet towards stance. And even head towards stance. Step, step, step. Just be aware that, again, you're going to have to watch the A, and same thing, the 4A. Now, the difference is the 4A is twice as fast, essentially, on head towards. So this will catch your step. So do keep that in mind. But the feet towards, you are very free to just step, 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 and react to this or this, and you are good to go. So just step when Voldo's in stance, and it will do you wonders. My tip for you regarding Xianghua, it was really hard for me to pick this one, as I could tell you a ton, but the one I decided on is her 6A plus B, which is one of her lethal hit auto GIs. It is a horizontal mid. It is a string that isn't real, is the best way to put it. Now, it is jailing, but on hit, oops, if the first one hits, you can still block the second one, okay? Unless it's a combo, or rather a counter. Okay, so if I counter hit, I hit both, no big deal at all. But if the first one hits, you can block the second. This is critical, because this move, if you block that second hit, minus 16. Huge punish potential. Okay? My tip regarding Yoshimitsu has to do with his 6A series. It has AA or AB. Do note that both of these are GI-able basically on the same timing. So it looks like this. That's 6AA. It is duckable. But the B, the second option, excuse me, not duckable. Okay, so what you can do, again, is GI both on reaction. And for the last tip of the video, my Zasalamel tip, in my opinion, I saved the best for last in terms of the coolest for last. This is one of the few true option selects that Soulcalibur has to offer, and that has to do with his 6-6A and 6-6A hold move. Now granted, not too many characters can deal with this in the same way, and you'll see why in just a second. But those who can, this is consistent every single time, and there's nothing the Zasalamel player can do about it. Anytime he commits to 6-6A, he's putting himself in this mess. So first off, I'll show you the two moves. 6-6A regular, minus 4, oh, didn't punish it, minus 14. Okay, and then 6-6A hold, there's a gap, and it is, I believe it's plus on block. 6-6A regular, excuse me, does jail. However, 6-6A hold does not, so I can unblock it. The way you can deal with both of these moves, because of the window and the way that jailing strings work in Soulcalibur, is if you have a horizontal GI or auto GI, so for example, Amy Parry, Calyx Monument, Shanghua 4A, you can actually buffer it behind your block, and if he does 6-6A hold, you'll beat him, and if he doesn't, you can still block and get the punish. So I'll demonstrate that for you. So watch the inputs closely. 4A, nothing. I can still punish. 4A comes out. Okay, and I do it at the same time. Immediately, as soon as that 6A hits me, boom, punish. Boom, confirm. Now, with that said, that does conclude all of the tips I have for you. Again, that was one for each character on the roster. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments what you learned, and if you tell me you didn't learn anything, I probably won't believe you, but if you did know everything I said today, kudos to you. You are big brain in the lab, and I will see you on the next one.